Giant skeletons of enormous size discovered in New Mexico. New York Times article, 1902. A lot of giants were discovered all over the place in North America. Not only there, but everywhere, worldwide. This is on Collective Spark by Arjun Walia. Researcher Graham Hancock coined the phrase, "We're like a species with amnesia," and it's true. Despite the fact that it seems the story of human history is well uncovered, every single year there are new discoveries made that challenge what we once held to be true. In some cases, there are discoveries which are concealed from the general public for various reasons. A great example of that would be the black budget world. There also seems to be amazing discoveries that are completely ignored by mainstream media, and most of these discoveries would shake the foundations of our human history. Even though we know of giants from the Old Testament, there were giants in the earth on those days, and then after the flood, even after the flood. Now, another great example are the bodies recently discovered in Nazca, Peru, three-fingered, toed humanoids, human beings, whose physical anatomy is far different from that of a human. As we know, we've had extinction-level events where a lot of species of animals and plants have gone extinct, either by comet or asteroid strikes or volcanic eruptions, supervolcanic eruptions. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. The Taupo supervolcano of the North Island of New Zealand that erupted 27,500 years ago was an extinction-level event. Anthropologists believe that only 2,000 human couples, were left worldwide to repopulate the Earth. So you can imagine what devastation took place with all that ash, the volcanic ash, going around the world. Now, going back to this, another example would be the stories regarding intelligent ancient civilizations like the ancient lost continent of Atlantis, for example, which many scholars now believe to have actually existed. Out of all the information that's out there regarding intelligent ancient civilizations and more, even if just one of the stories are true, it would completely change what we thought we knew about human history and the history of our planet. He says, "I believe the story of our past might be different from what seems to be the only 2 available options, creationism and evolution. There may be a myriad of other factors involved." These discoveries would also shake the foundation of many people's belief systems. The human race has been kept from so much information and forced into a specific worldview that's designed to benefit the 1%. In today's day and age, it's always best to keep an open mind, especially when new information and evidence is constantly emerging for those who are curious enough to actually look, which challenges the old. Now, what about giants? Did giants once roam the earth? Well, we know that even King David went against Goliath. He was a giant. He had 5 brothers. He had 6 fingers, 6 toes. So he was different totally than normal humans. Now, it's been in the literature and lore of multiple cultures throughout human history, from the Maya, the global indigenous populations, the Bible, and more, since what we perceive as the beginning of time. For example, the Holy Bible tells us that when the gods were on earth, they were giants. Michael Tellinger says this, when you bring up in conversation, normally brings up, laughter and people giggling and thinking you're joking. And yet the Bible is full of references to giants in our history. It's all over the Bible. Tellinger is referring to the Nephilim, as referenced in Numbers 13:33 of the Bible. Quote, "We saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak come from the Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them," end quote. And there's so many other references in the Bible. Again, it's not just the Bible, it's lore from cultures that predates religion as well as indigenous legends. Tellinger is a renowned author and politician who has made several groundbreaking discoveries regarding lost ancient civilizations that once roamed the earth. There are several examples of physical evidence which exist to support the idea that giants once roamed the earth. For example, stored in the vaults of the medical schools at Wits University, Johannesburg, there's a part of an upper leg bone with a hip joint that would have stood approximately 12 feet tall. It's been there since the early 1960s and was found by miners in northern Namibia. It's one of the most precious and rare specimens available today that clearly indicate the existence of giants in southern Africa more than 40,000 years ago. Again, that was before the Taupo volcanic eruption, the super eruption of 27,500 years ago. Now, apparently, in 1883, the Smithsonian, a United States government military-led organization at the time, sent a team of archaeologists to South Charleston Mound, and according to the official report, the team discovered a number of giant skeletons ranging from 7 to 9 feet tall. Now let's remember, at that time, people were a lot shorter than they were today. Maybe they were the normal height would have been about 4.5, 5 feet tall. Now some of them had a compressed or flat type head, which would resemble similar skeletal characteristics to those found in Egypt and South America. Whether or not this is fake news is highly debatable, as there's a lot of evidence to suggest it's not. Now the list goes on, and what's interesting is an article published in the New York Times in 1902 that also deals with the subject. It says, giant skeletons found, archaeologists sent expedition to explore graveyards in New Mexico where bodies were unearthed. Los Angeles, California, February 10th, owing to the discovery of the remains of a race of giants in Guadalupe, New Mexico, antiquarians and archaeologists are preparing an expedition further to explore that region. And it goes on to say, about 20 miles southeast of Las Vegas, where an old burial ground has been discovered that has yielded skeletons of enormous size. So the article goes on to describe 2 stones with curious inscriptions, and underneath were the bones of a body that could have not have been less than 12 feet in length. According to the New York Times article, the men who opened the grave say that the forearm was 4 feet long, and that in a well-preserved jaw, the lower teeth ranged from the size of a hickory nut to that of the largest walnut in size. Now, apparently, the chest of the body had a circumference of 7 feet. The bodies were first discovered by Luciano Quintana. It was on his ranch these specific bodies were found, according to the article. Quintana, who has uncovered many other burial places, expressed the opinion that perhaps thousands of skeletons of a race of giants long extinct will be found. This supposition is based on the traditions handed down from the early Spanish invasion that have detailed knowledge and the existence of a race of giants that inhabited the plains of what now is eastern New Mexico. Indian legends and carvings also in the same section indicate the existence of such a race of giants. And there's other New York Times articles here about skeletons discovered in 1885, and going back still further, in 1774, settlers found what they called the Giant Town, which housed several gigantic skeletons, one being an 8-foot tall male. And again, the people then were a lot shorter than they are today. I mean, I had gone to Boston to see the replica of the Mayflower, and it was built 25% larger than the actual Mayflower that sailed from Britain to Boston. And we still had to duck in order to get in. We had to duck to get in. I mean, it was like a half a cellar type of thing. You can imagine what the original Mayflower was and how short the people were. Now, of course, these people were giants. Now, in addition to the human skeletons found in New York State, there's also a famous case of the Cardiff giant, the white alabaster like statue of an 11-foot man. Now, the thing is that a lot of people say that they debunked that. Now, Dewhurst is an Emmy Award winner writer. He's a graduate of New York University with degrees in journalism, film and television, writing for History Channel. And he had a well-researched article on the topic, The Ancient Giants Who Ruled America. Now, the story of human history. As mentioned earlier, we don't really know the full story of human history. As we said, we've had various extinction level events, whether it's asteroid impacts, comet impacts, or supervolcanic eruptions. The last one being from Tapo 27,500 years ago. And when, he says, and when new evidence information pops up, either from past or today, which challenges the current accepted framework, it seems people lose their minds, and what we have today in large part is dogma instead of actual evidence and fact. Now, in this century, unfortunately, a lot of scientific theories and hypotheses are believed, but they're theories. Whereas before this century, scientists were actually believing in what evidence and facts they found. That's what they based their science on, not on theories and hypotheses, like the theory of evolution or the theory of general relativity. It's one thing having evidence, and another thing talking about theories. Now, going back to this, with all the discoveries being made, and all the discoveries that have been made, which mainstream media completely ignores, we're clearly not being told something about the true origins of humanity, what some people call the forbidden history type of thing, quote unquote. Now, this was originally from Collective Evolution, published here under Creative Commons license on Collective Spark. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support.